Okay, so this week was interesting. I made more of an effort this time since I wasn't having to worry about the trading post. And so I could have gotten to 1500 had I been paying more closer attention. Um, However, I am fine with that. So it's still decent progress. I did everything as a plus 10 or higher. Um, so as you can see here from last week, so most everything. Um, if we look at Narcissist here, so there we go. So I've done 43. There's kind of all my times and rating and everything. So jumping around a bit more than I was last season, which is fine. So the difference um, in seasons when you're actually geared kept meaning to mention that. So between gearing in season 2 and actually being more geared um, for season 3, it's been quite a bit easier. So um, still can't just go and do like the higher, um, anything plus 12 plus 13 is still kind of challenging. Um, I did only complete. I'm gonna be one dungeon short for all 3 rewards. Because as I said, I wasn't partially because I wasn't paying as close attention as I um, normally do. Then I started thinking about it, and I was like, well, I really didn't do anything different this week than I uh, have, normally do in or have done in previous weeks. And 2 things occurred to me. One, as I've mentioned, groups started to kind of fall apart a lot earlier this season. During last season, I had to do plus 10 or higher before I got into a group where we just couldn't finish the dungeon for one reason or another. And that happened way sooner this season. So the time is kind of hit or miss in some cases, depending on what the dungeon is. Ironically, the better dungeons to do are the Cataclysm dungeons, which, if you're familiar with all the drama surrounding the Cataclysm dungeons when Cataclysm came out and all of that, you'll get the irony of that. Waycrest Manor, people did the Broken Isles, Waycrest Manor, Darkheart Thicket, Everbloom, all that. I think they were no, Everbloom and Darkheart Thicket were from Legion. Yes, and then Waycrest Manor and Blackrock Hold. Wait, right? Darkheart Thicket and Everbloom were from Legion. That I know. And then so Battle for Azeroth. Blackrock Hold was from Broken Isles. Yeah. Yeah. That and Waycrest. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, there we go. What I was going to say was the older kind of dungeons are actually more that seem popular with people. So, for the most part, while there may be a tricky boss and or mechanic here or there, groups seem a little bit more willing and eager to tackle them. The other thing I noticed, which is what I was trying to kind of segue into is when I have looked. So I searched for like plus 11, so that brings up dungeons one level below and one level above. So it brings up plus 10 and plus 12. If you didn't know, whenever you search for a specific key, it'll always bring up the one below it and the one above it. I have seen on several occasions now. I have seen where it's just a list when I've looked for a specific key. Um, like usually this season or this week I was just searching for like plus 11. Because that was like a 2-3 um 2-3 level increase from what a lot. I think everything had been like a plus 7, 8. So um there have just been lists of Dawn of the Infinite. So people do not like these. Either one, the rise or fall. Fall, rise. There we go. Rise or fall. People do not like these. Like, I don't know if when you complete a dungeon and your key, um, gets randomized for the next one, if it's just proportionally going to Dawn of the Infinite or what. But yeah, I've seen several. Um, I have seen several times now. Um, Many times now when I've looked, like it is just a list of these two dungeons. Fall, I am deliberately avoiding just because the last boss with having to heal Chromie and everything is just kind of problematic if you don't get the right group. So I feel like I'm better equipped to deal with it now. Again, it's still so heavily dependent on what kind of a group you get. Rise isn't too bad. Again, it's just a matter of what kind of group you get. I was in one group. We did really well on the first boss, like super well. And then by the time we got to like the second and third boss, we had ran out of time. Like the group just kind of fell apart. Um, People clearly did not know mechanics. Um, so again, these being newer kind of makes sense. They're a little bit more heavily reliant on what kind of a group you get. Um, So that being said, and I kind of did the same thing with Plaguefall during Shadowlands. I kind of just saved it for the last because it was just a horrible dungeon. Um, so I saved it as like the very last one I think on um, the season I actually got the mount, which I want to say was season 3. Or was it season 4? Season 3, season 4, whatever the last season of Shadowlands was. And that worked perfectly fine. So I would rather wait and save this to the end when I've ran everything out and I've got the gear and the upgrades and all of that. So that being said, uh, as I said, 2 rewards, at least 470, I believe, if not 473. Still, yeah, okay, so 1 473, 1 470, so that'll still be an upgrade. So that is a ring, which is not all that helpful, and a weapon, which is kind of sort of helpful. Oh, these are not really good options. Okay. Well, I'm rolling the ring out because it takes off haste. This puts most of the, so the mace I have equipped is more or less balanced between critical strike and versatility. The mace that's in the So the mace that's the reward puts most of it into mastery, which is not great for an invoker. There are a few classes that mastery, just stacking mastery is not all that great, and hmm. Preservation is definitely one of them, I would say. Yeah, I don't necessarily know. That is a lot of critical strike, though. You know what? I'm going to take the ring. I think the ring, if I was to swap out gear later on, the ring may have more value than the weapon will. So, okay. Now, to see what I can upgrade. Okay, so I actually got some good news from what dropped. So I ended up getting a necklace that had haste. So my haste is actually back up to 19%, and it has speed. So I'm now up to 14% speed, which I think is about the most I've ever had without some kind of an active buff or some such. So I was looking, and my offhand also has speed. So between the two of them, which is just a nice, doesn't really affect anything in overall, just kind of a nice little bonus there. So so I kind of want to keep this. I have mixed feelings. So now that my haste is about 19, so the global cooldown and everything's getting a little quicker now. So I'm getting back to being more comfortable. However, my healing is kind of leveled off now. I think it's kind of a combination of stats and pushing into some higher keys now. So they're starting to get a little bit more challenging. That being said, I'm still, it still kind of goes back and forth between being the top, having the top healing in the group, and just being slightly below the tank, depending on what class it is. So, do I have, what can I actually upgrade? So if we were to focus on, nope, that needs fire. I'm gonna say if we were to focus on things with haste first, does that get me anywhere? I have not pushed into, you know what, I'm going to try to upgrade this because the effect from this is actually quite useful, so I'm good with that. The Harmonious Chord is actually pretty good, as I mentioned last week or the week before. It's actually like one of the top, when I look at recount, it's actually one of the top, in fact, let's see here. So yeah, so there I am. And now this will be the one time it doesn't.
All Veldraken has to offer.
Yeah, see, that's about the lowest I've ever seen it, but 3 million is still pretty good. So there's been other dungeons where it's been like in the top, 4, 5, 6. So yeah, and it actually came pretty close to a lot of these other ones. So yeah, yeah. So hopefully that'll help.
The city's finest goods.
Because it actually, oh no, it doesn't upgrade. Does it not upgrade the effect? Oh yeah, it does. There we go. Yeah. Yeah, so that should have upgraded the effect. So yeah, I feel good about that. Versatility and avoidance. Increasing intellect. Upgrading this may not be a bad thing. I'm probably never going to use the crest. So if I can get rid of them, sure, why not? Okay, so 4. And then the ring probably is what's throwing my, so the intellect's good. The intellect will make up for a lot of the other stats if they're not exactly where they should be. So now I think critical strike. What has critical strike? Critical strike isn't the main stat on that. It is on the weapon, and I can't upgrade the weapon. Okay. Same thing for the yeah, it would have been like a +4 increase, and that's fine. So that may be it this week. I can upgrade the headpiece. Can upgrade the chest for free. I just need to spend the flight stone, so sure. That's +11. So I'm good with that. Okay, so the head could be upgraded once, and then I will be out of full lightstone, so sure. Okay. Well, there we go. So that's not terrible. Pretty good. Pretty good stats for what you could have. So versatility is good. A little bit of avoidance is good. Speed is good. Like I said, it doesn't really do anything in the greater scheme of things. I mean, you still have to kind of go with the group. It is nice to have though. So it's a nice passive. So yeah, so I feel like I feel like we're better off with our stats than we were during last season. So yeah, so there you go. Hope you enjoyed that, and thank you for watching.